these teachings to further develop each one of us in Himself. This way, dear Lord, we also ask for our brothers and sisters who may not have a moment like this, who may be lost, who may be in a condition running from themselves and from the truth of life. And we also extend these teachings for those who are looking for something, for those who are minds and hearts just like us, trying to find out a little bit of ourselves. This way, we ask that you guide us all to put into practice what we will learn and what we will be reminded to us today. With your guidance, protection, and permission, let us start this beautiful afternoon into this evening, and so be it. Interesting enough, as we enter this last quarter of the year, October into the end of the year, and as well as we further get ourselves into fall, right? The new season, right? It's always good to acknowledge the new as well. We ask ourselves this beautiful question: where did I come from? Where did we come from? It's something that crosses my mind every single day. What happened to me? How did I get here? And as much as we find the answers, right? It is kind of hard to sometimes really, depending on what we're going through, to grasp it, right? But I'll leave that with Daniel to explain to us and to bring some enlightenment to us on this matter. Daniel, please.
Thank you, Leo. Welcome everyone again in both plane and also those that are watching us online. So it is a easy topic, but very complex, right? Because if we approach, if someone approaches and asks, where did you come from? The first thing that comes to our mind is what? Brazil, for example. Oh, I come from my mom, right? So, but this question is a eternal question. It's a question that humanity have been asked since the beginning. So philosopher, historians, even ourselves. I don't know about you, but sometime when we go through tribulation, we ask this question: what I'm doing here? Why I was born in this family, or why I have to go to this situation. So the idea here today is just to give an overview about this philosophical question that we have been asked, especially when we go through tribulation, right? So where did I come from? I put the title very personal, because you may ask why you ask this to yourself, like we should ask the question like, where did we come from? We, humanity. But I think the idea here is for you to feel that this specific topic is very related to you. Because whatever we bring here is to ourselves. So I was a little bit selfish here, so I want to answer the question to myself and also bring this question to you so you also can reflect on that, right? So it's imperative that when we ask the question, where did I come from? The next question would be, what we are headed to, or where I'm going to, right? So to answer this first question, there is a third question that we must answer to ourselves. That would be, who am I? Who am I? So who am I is the fundamental question that we need to answer in order for us to answer to at least understand from where you have came from, and where are we going to, right? So this question is, you can look at human knowledge and try to find the answer, right? For example, if we take different perspectives to answer the question, and we highlight some of them here for us to reflect on that. So the first one is from the cosmic or anthropological, or not anthropological, astrological, astronomy, right? Perspectives, right? So if we ask someone that studied the universe, or studied the the cosmic, the first thing that they're gonna tell us is that everything starts with the Big Bang over like 13 billion years ago, right? So that's the question, the answer. From there, stars, planet, and life began. That would be like the short answer to answer the question, from where did we came from? But then if we move on to a more anthropological or even paleontological approach, we learn that human evolved over millions of years from simple organisms to the complex beings. Through countless generations, DNA passed down and combined in unique way to result on us. So when we go study, anthropology and the history of humankind, that's what we learn in school, right? That's what research has uncovered and explained, that we, for the anthropological way, we have been evolved over millions of years. And for those that has been studying with us every Thursday, a plug-in here, the Genesis, now the Spirit's book, we have discussed very deep those subjects under the light of Spiritism. So from the biological perspective, what can we share on this topic? So we learned that we originate from a single cell, a fertilized egg formed by the union of a sperm cell from your father, and an egg cell from your mother. This cell underwent a process called mitosis, dividing and growing into a complex organism that result what we are today. So from the pure biological perspective, that would be the answer. So if you Google the question about this topic, you're going to see that there is a book with this title. And I was reading what motivated the author to write the book. Where did I come from? So his motivation was pretty much to bring for kids the idea, because this question, when kids ask, where did I come from? So it's kind of like the parent become a little bit embarrassing, right? Because you cannot tell the truth, because they are not yet in the age to understand. So this author put the book. If you Google, you can find the book. And I read a little bit about, I didn't read the whole book, what motivated the author to put this book. And he put in a very funny, very simple child way to explain, right? So pretty much this is like the main perspective that we have about to answer the question, where did we come from? So what about the biblical perspectives, or the Mosaic Genesis, right? So what we learn in the book of Genesis, in the beginning of the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7, the first humans, Adam and Eve, were formed from the dust of the earth and given life by God. So here we have the theory of creation, right? That especially like religion, people believe that we came from a single couple created by God about 6,000, 7,000 years ago. And from there, we have the humanity. But since we are in a spirit center, we wanted to bring the spiritist perspective, right? And before I bring the spiritist perspective, I want to say that all this perspective that I have brought here, Spiritism does not condemn, but add a little bit. So pretty much all the perspectives that we have learned, we can check all, but and explain what is missing, right? So that's what our approach is gonna be from the Spiritist perspective. So from the Spiritist perspective, and this can be found in the codification, the Spiritist codification, especially in these 5 books, we learned that the origin of human beings is spiritual. Spirits are created simple and ignorant by God and evolved over times through multiple incarnation in different physical bodies. So this is a very short answer for the question. So if we look at all the perspectives that we have brought here up to now, it's not totally wrong, okay? But there is a little bit incomplete, and Spiritists come in complete. So we are not denying what the other perspectives bring to us, because when we study Spiritist science, we learn that, okay, yeah, life may have been, we don't deny that probably the creation of the universe was from the Big Bang based on research. But the question is, what happened before the Big Bang? Who triggers the Big Bang? Who put those molecule or elements together and caused the explosion that generated the universe about 14 billion years ago? So this is basically up to now, what we as a humanity, as a research scientist, and the books tell us about. But let us dive in a little bit about the Spiritist perspective, right? So we learn that in the Spiritist perspective, we have the Trinity, the triad, as we learn in our study. We have God, right? And there is just one God. What is God? Is the first cause of the supreme intelligence, the first cause of everything. And this is in the first question of the Spiritist book. God creates the universe. In the universe, there is 2 main elements. Which are these elements? A spiritual or intelligence principle, and from this, and the second element, the material principle. From this, on this, there is a third element that is not spiritual and not intelligent, but is very important for the evolution of the spiritual principle. That is the cosmic or universal fluid. We're not going to go deep on this because we are studying this on Thursday. If you wanted to learn more, please join our study group on Thursday at 7:30 U.S. Eastern Time. But also you can go and read. The Genesis has a beautiful explanation about this process, and also the Spirit's book. So from these 2 elements, so the spiritual or intelligent principle will, through the process of evolution, become the spirit, right? And from the material principle will form matter, the invisible matter, but also the matter that we can see, our bodies, the density matter. So all this is already a derivation of this material principle, the primordial elements that will give origin to matter in general, right? So the type of matter that we have here in the planet Earth is not necessarily the same type of matter that we have in other planets. So we are still discovering which type of, that's why we have institutions like NASA and now SpaceX, that they are like research to see if the elements that we have here, we also can be found in another planet. So by deduction, we may find life, right? So that's the big question that astronomy is asking. Is there life in another planet? Especially when we're talking about our solar system. So now, where do we come from? Now I include everyone. We include everyone. So we already learned from the Spiritist perspective, and we're going to stick on the Spiritist perspective. We are spiritual beings. We are spirit. we were created by God. So the short answer, and in the Spirit's book, if we are spirit, so I brought this question 87 from the Spirit's book, when Kardec asked the enlightened spirit, do spirits occupy a specific circumscribed region of space? Why he asked this question? Because now, as we learn that we are creature of God, as we have a label that we can call spirit or intelligent principle, if we go to all the kingdoms, the question that Kardec wanted to know is that, okay, so is this everywhere in the universe? Or that is only in specific places, specific like planet, for example? And the answer is spirits are everywhere. They populate infinite space in infinite numbers. However, not all spirits can go everywhere because because there are regions that are forbidden to those who are less advanced. Okay, stop here. So the answer is there are spirits that populates the universe, but there is a gradation of group of spirit. So, and this makes sense, right? So if we look at our society, we have people in different level. Let's just pick here in terms of professional, right? We have different levels of profession, right? We are not saying that which is better or not. So some of them make more money. So from the material perspective, we think that those profession is better than other that makes less money. But when we talk here about move from one place to another place, is the condition here is the spiritual evolution, is how evolved those group of spirit are. So we learn in spiritism that spirits that inhabit Jupiter, for example, they are more evolved than spirits that inhabit the planet Earth. So, you know, if you are looking for a planet to go, Jupiter is a good one to go, right? So the opposite, you may ask, are about, you know, do you know a planet that is less evolved? We learn from the spiritual literature that in our solar system, the one that is spirit that's not so evolved is going through is Pluto. That's not a planet anymore, right? But it is a planet that we learn in some of those the spiritual literature that is invited to go to Pluto. So going back to the question. So now let us. Did I spell this wrong? Who am I? It's right. It's right. Okay. So now this question we cannot answer today, but we can have hint of who we are, right? We can, but the absolute truth or answer about ourselves, we don't know yet. We are in the process to know ourselves, right? So based on what we have learned so far, we can say for sure that we are the intelligent being of the creation, right? Or in another way, we are child of God. So this match all the other perspective, like some of them complete, some of them is not complete. For example, if we talk about the creation, yeah, God created Adam and Eve, even though the allegory says that we are destined for Adam and Eve, but at the end, the theory is about creation, that there is a higher being that created us, right? So from the astronomy perspective or the cosmos perspective, yeah, I mean, we may have been, you know, evolved from, you know, the beginning of the planet or the universe, or even come from other part of the universe and evolved here in the planet Earth. The only thing that doesn't say is that there is a supreme intelligence that creates. But that's not bad because it is inside of the answer. It's just we need to extrapolate a little bit more. And that's what the spiritual science did. Extrapolate a little bit more. Add more information on what we have already uncovered, let's say this way. So then, if we go back to the Spirit's book question, and there is two questions here that we're going to highlight. Question 76 and 85, Kardec asked a very interesting question regards to spirits, regards to this intelligent being of the creation. How may we define spirit? And the answer is, we can say that spirit is the intelligent beings of creation. They populate the universe beyond the material world, right? So, in another way, we are everywhere. So the universe is not there just for us to use our telescope and enjoy, but there are lives. We don't know if it is organic life, but there is intelligent beings. It is a spirit. By definition, in Kardec, when Kardec asked, okay, what's the nature of the spirit? So we know the nature of matter, right? The states that matter can occupy in the universe. And the spirit answer, we don't have the language, we, human. Our language is very poor to define what is the spirit. And he mentioned, and the enlightened spirit answer like, it's like a flame. There is no form. It's like a flame, right? So, okay, if there is spirits everywhere, of course, we may have to have a mechanism where the spirit will progress, right? But before that, Kardec not asked the question. Kardec made a comment on this question. He said, we say that spirits are immaterial because their essence differ from everything we label as matter. We know the level that we are, what matter is, the state of matter, but we don't know the nature or what the spirit is made of. So let's not be confused about that. Let it be the way that it is. Let us just concentrate us as spirit and working ourselves. Because one day when we become probably perfect spirit, like pure spirit, we may answer the question, right? But the enlightened spirit, very, I would say, polite, told us, do not worry about this. So just stick with the intelligent beings. We are intelligent beings of the creation. And then the question 86, Kardec asked, which of the two, the spiritual world or the corporeal one, is the principal one in the order of things? Well, if there is spirits everywhere, how come I cannot see those that are discarnated, right? So that's this very logical question, right? So, and the answer is, and of course, the spirit world is pre-existent and will survive everything else. So the primary house, our primary home is the spiritual world, is the spiritual plane. So right now we are in a physical body, so it's temporary. We know this is a determinism. When we are born, the clock starts to tick, so for our time to go back, right? Now, let me stop here. It just came to my mind, a thought. If you have to answer yourself, okay, raise your hand here. Who think that's going to stay here more 5 years? Is for 5 more years? Oh, so in 5 more years, you think you're going to go back to the spiritual? Yeah, but I'm talking about going back to the spiritual plane. In another word, you're going to die, right? Okay, so who believe that we're going to stay here more 5 years in the physical body? No, just 5 years. So in 2029, your ticket will expire and you have to go 10 years, 15 years. So think about how old are you right now? You don't need to tell me. 20 years from now. Not yet. Wow, 30 years. Oh, you think so? Let's do the math here. So we are 2024. If we're 2026 plus 30 years, gonna be 2050. 2054. Wow. You guys are generous, right? I would say 100 a year for me. I'm just joking. But so this is the question that we should ask. If you buy a ticket to travel, you start to become like anxious. I know people that 1 month before, and this person is not here, but the person told me 1 month before travel, she or he, I'm not gonna say that, starts to do, to do the luggage. Like, people start to put stuff, right? Do you do this with your ticket back to the spiritual plane? Like, oh, let me think about, make amendment with this person, forgive you, ask for forgive you, work on this virtue or this. I mean, this is a serious question. It's part of this. Where are we gonna go, right? So let me count here. You're gonna be 30 years here. Jeanette, gonna be 30 years. Okay, I will remind you when 5 years ago, like 25 years, I will remind you. Look, 5 years ago, Janesh, right? Okay, for those that are watching us online, please ask the question to yourself. What's your year right now, and how many years do you think you gonna still be here in the physical body? It is not a morbid question. It is a serious question that we don't want to ask, but it's the reality, right? It is reality because we all gonna go back sooner or later. I hope later, right? Everybody here think I hope later. Okay, so let's move on. So now, what is the mechanism that help propels us to progress? Well, in Spiritism, we learn that we are created simple, ignorant, and then we have a doctrine that we call the doctrine of reincarnation that is considering a divine law that help us to evolve. There is no, up to now, another explanation that we may ask why we are different, why we have different approach, why we have different skills, why we have different social status, if we not take in consideration the question of past life, or that we have been, create simple ignorant, but some has advanced, other has been a little bit delayed, but the end of the day, we all gonna reach the same point, that is relative perfection, right? So regard to this, if we are spirit and we are different, we are in the question or about to answer who are we. So then we are today a sum of many personalities, right? Because today our personalities, I'm going to put myself, today I am like temporarily as Daniel. But if I had lived many other lives, so whatever I'm today is a result of many other lives that we have lived. So Daniel is now this group of personalities that define what I present to you today, plus all the other things that I have learned in this lifetime. So you see how complex it is, because now to answer the question, who are we, becomes complex. Daniel, do I need to know all the other lives? Not necessary, and we're going to touch on that. But it is important to evaluate our output today so we can at least deduct what we have been before, right? So Emmanuel, in this book, Thought in Life, that Leo has presented here, chapter 8, he said that we are always the sum of many people, many personalities. What that means, that there are life that I was born as a female, there are life that I was born as a tall guy, right, Leo? Now I came short. There are some lives that I was like, very barbarian. And now when I face a situation that require that personality, that type of person I was, I manifest, right? There are times that you are born as a very sensitive person and you feel that emotion when we present to the situation. So we are learning how to educate those personalities. So we are dealing with several personalities that we have been expressed in previous lifetime. The beauty of this is that God always gives opportunity for us to come back and work on that, right? Either fix, work, and let me tell you one thing. It's not a piece of cake, right? Especially those personalities that is very hard for us, very hard for us to change. I give an example. If in many lives before we are very violent person, to become tame person in this lifetime is very hard, because when the situation present that threaten you, what comes is that that personality that you have lived 10 other times, 10 other lives before, right? So we are the result of different personalities that we had in past life. The next question you may ask you, and we ask in your mind, so do I need to do a regression therapy? No, that's not the case here. Because we learn, especially in the Spirit's book and the gospel, that there is a mechanism that God imposed on us that's called forgetfulness of the past to protect us. From whom? To protect us from ourselves. Can you believe if I have access to previous life and find out that maybe my son or my wife or my parent was the one that murdered in previous life? For example, I'll give how are we gonna feel? So the mechanism to forget about our past life is a blessing for the Creator, right? So now, I want to bring out the question 395, where Kardec asks, can we obtain any revelation about our former life? And the Spirit answered, not always. Here is something very interesting. Nevertheless, many know who they were and what they did. If they were permitted to speak openly, they would make curious revelation about the past. Put this in plain language. We know deep in our side what we were before. True or false? True or false? We know. If we be open and really speak about what's going on in our mind, we're gonna find out what type of person we were in the past life, right? But the question is this helpful? This is only our business. It's my business, your business. I don't need to come unless there is a chronicle or there is a trauma that really impact you to live a normal life. Then you need to go to someone that is a professional and open what's going on in your mind, right? So then Kardec continued in the next question, 392, he asked, why does the incarnate spirit lose the memory of its past? And this beautiful answer. Human beings cannot and must not know everything. God, out of divine wisdom, wills it to be this way, without the veil that hides certain things from them. They would be dazzled, like one who passed suddenly from the darkness into the light. By forgetting their past, our past, they are more fully themselves in the present. So it is opportunity for us to forget so we can build a new, better personality, I would say, right? because we know the struggles that we have inside of us. So the society, throughout their laws, and the families as well, friends, teachers, we help to shape a better individual, right? Although we know that we have all these mechanisms, it's not a guarantee that this individual that we are nowadays will go back better than we came from, right? So it's not a guarantee, but it is an opportunity. And that's what we need to take in consideration. So now, where I'm going, so the three questions, right? So right now we are where? We are here, the present, 2024, in my case, 53 years old in this physical body, going to be 54 in next month. So based on what we have learned so far, we are spirit, we have the mechanism of reincarnation, we are the sum of many personalities. So now what we are today is a result of this. So pretty much we have a past, right? So we have a past. This past defines us, but our future is in the future, right? It's kind of weird the way I said. It's ahead. The future is ahead. Thank you. The future is ahead. And it will depend on what we do here right now, right? So pretty much, so the present is pretty much a consequence of what we have been in the past. Do we need to know what we have done? No, not necessary. Do we have some hint of what we were? Yes, we do. The deep of our mind. But there is that pyramid that we have like 10%, 5% the surface and 5% underwater. That is our unconscious lies, all our past life pretty much. We were merged depends of the situation that we are. For example, many times we says, I will never do that. Well, you don't know because the situation was not presented to you. Yeah? We have many situations that the person suddenly, commit a crime, and all the friends, family members say, oh, but this person was a very good person. I'm so surprised. How come the person was capable to do that? If you ask the person will say, even I didn't know that I was able to do that. I was like suddenly out of a rage. I did those, act. So this is telling us that we have a lot. And Joanna D'Angeli bring this very nicely to us, that we have this, I wouldn't say dark side, but this, personality or baggage or shadow, as you name it, whatever you want, that we still are in the process to educate it, right? So now, the future will depend on what we are doing today, right? So it's like common sense, right? But that is the end goal. The end goal is perfection, right? So we all destined to perfection. And we put perfection, relative perfection, because perfect only God, right? He's the perfect, absolute perfection. So we're going to be relative perfection. So in Spiritism, we learn from question 100 to a question, I think 113, where Kardec brings the classification of spirits. We have like 3 groups, right? So spirits that is, lower, and then middle, and then pure spirit, right? So the pure spirit, one example of pure spirit that we know was Jesus. So our goal is one day to become like Jesus. Is Jesus a pure spirit relative to our understanding of purity? But if you come to Jesus, and we learn in spiritualism that Jesus is the governor of the planet Earth, well, if Jesus is the governor of the planet Earth, and he was a pure spirit 4.4 billion years ago, when he helped to build the planet, so the next question we may ask is like, okay, if there is a governor in the planet Earth, we must have governor from all the planets in the solar system. And the governor in the other planet of the solar system should be in the same level Jesus. But then, who is the governor of the solar system? should be above Jesus, right? And the governor of the galaxy, the Milky Way, for example, should be above of all Christ, right? So when we talk about pure spirit, so our reference now is Jesus. But we know that the scale from Jesus to other, as more evolved you become, is infinite, right? A way that we can understand this is like this. For example, if you are a lawyer, so for example, what's the difference between a lawyer that graduated this year or a physician, for example, and a lawyer that has been graduated 20 years ago? They both are lawyers. They both have the same title. What is the difference? Experience. So Jesus was perfect 4.5 billion years ago, but we may have people that was already perfect like 40 billion years ago, 400,000 billions years ago, whatever, right? Like a lot of numbers. So although they have already this title, relative to our understanding about perfection, so as more evolved you become, more close to the creator you become, you understand more the nature of God. So then when we're going to reach this relative perfection, it's up to us, right? When we are created, when we became spirit, there is two acquisitions that we acquired. One was free will, the power to make choice, and the other one was reason. So we're never going to have free will if we don't have reason, because to make decision, we need to have reason behind. Because reason is the one that defines what would be good or what would be bad. So the primitive reason in a human being always going to make the bad decision because they don't know yet. And then they learn from the bad decision. And as you're going to make a decision in life, as like a toddler, for example, when they start to wake for the new life, they're going to fall many times until one day they find the equilibrium, right? So it's like this. When we learn to drive a car, and I remember the first time I, was learning to drive a car, it's too many things that you need to cope at the same time, right? Looking here in the mirror, here, if you drive stick car, so stick shift car, then you have to have I don't know how to call like the embreagem. How do you say the embreagem? The crutch? The crowd stick, yeah. So you have to do that, and you have the accelerate, you have the brake. You have so many things to cope as the car is moving. You don't do this with the car stopping. So life is like this. The evolution is like this. We are like moving forward and experience and make decision and experience and make decision until one day that we do all this as like very tranquil, right? In a way that, okay, that's fine. I'm patient here. I'm tolerant here. Yeah, you slap my face. Okay, no worries. We are brother and sister, But right now we are still like stuck. We move a little bit and we stop. Let me put here the mirror. Let me change the gear here. We are in that level, really. Some people is with full stop, like in the stop sign. Other people is in the highway, like doing everything like very smoothly, right? Okay, so let's go back here so then, to reach this perfection, to go to this place where we are going is a decision, is a personal decision that we need to make it. Nobody's going to make this for us. No matter how much we want our parent to carry us and to make the decision or to carry, is not going to do it. Jesus is not going to do it. You know that beautiful passage when Jesus was having the last supper, and when Judas came to him and said, he knew what's going on in Judas' mind and said that he needs to go, Jesus didn't stop Judas. He should say, hey, buddy, hey, my friend, what's going on? Que pasa? Right? Que pasa? What's your problem? Right? But he didn't say that. He let him go, right? Who among us here would have that approach? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand because I don't want to put anyone in the spotlight. But to tell the truth, we are not in that level yet, right? So, but there is a formula for that. The formula is brought by Jesus when he said, in this way, this is the end of the chapter 17, item 2. Jesus shows that the essence of perfection is charity in its broadest definition, because it entails the practice of all virtues. Plain language, we need to master all virtue that we know. And that's what sometimes become a little bit tough for us, right? It's like really like breathe in and be a little bit more tolerant, patient, benevolent, indulgent. So there is a question in the first book, right, Leo? I don't know the number, but the Kardec asks, what charity was understood by Jesus? And he said, what? Benevolence to everyone, indulgence to those that has hurt you, and forgiveness of offenses. The BIP, right? Benevolence, indulgence, forgiveness. So here in this part, charity will encompass, will broaden as the sum of all other virtues. So when we talk about charity, we have said this many times, it's not the material charity that we're talking about, because this is the easiest one, and we encourage people to do that, because it's the beginning of one day we can give the moral charity. We only give what we have. If we don't have yet, we cannot give, right? So let me see the time we approach here. Now, the question, where did Jesus came from? Do you know? Neither do I. But here is a hint that we find in the gospel, and is very interesting, because he said, this is in John chapter 8, from 14 to 16, he said, and this was a situation that the Pharisee was challenging him about his true identity, where he's come from, what the authority he has. And he said, even if I testify on my own behalf, my testimony is valid. For I know where I came from and where I'm going. But you have no idea where I came from or where I'm going. You judge by human standards. I pass judgment on no one. But if I do judge, my decisions are true. The Father who sent me. So, in another way, he didn't tell exactly where he came from, but he also tell, look, you have no yet. He are not demeaning the Pharisee, and when we read this, it's just to tell, we are not yet in the level to understand from where this spirit that we call Jesus and we follow his teaching came from. But definitely, he already put like a foundation to that, from where there are places that we even can conceive the happiness, places that what we go through here, we're gonna see it, look at back, see as an opportunity, as a lesson. As when we go to school, we have tests, and sometimes it's hard. Some students look at that, oh, that's good. I wanted to go and study more of this. So when we reach that level, then we know where we are. As right now, we are in a planet of trial and expiation, and trial because, not necessarily because we did bad thing in the past, but it's because it's opportunity for us to face situation. Is a test, right? It's a test. Because and expiation or torment is that when we really are like paying for something that we done. So that's why we say trial and expiation. Or we can say trial or atonement. Atonement is that when we did something, like for example, I'm driving the highway and I missed the exit, so now my atonement is go and get the next exit and come back. So I'll be late, right? This is atonement. Trial, not necessarily, has to do with something that we have done in the past, but that we may have volunteered to go to that in order for us to evolve. The same way we go to school, and the end of the month, we're gonna be submit a quiz or test that maybe is gonna take some of our time to sit down and study before, right? And we are missing the entertainment, right? I live in Rio de Janeiro for 4 years in Copacabana, and I remember as was today. Saturday and sometimes Sunday, as I was going to the bus stop to go to the university, people was come out of the bus to go to the beach. And with that beautiful, like, for those that know Rio de Janeiro, Sunday, I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I can go to the beach. But I have to go to the lab. I have to do my research, right? So nowadays, if I want, I can go to the beach, but I don't. So the time has passed. So, folks, that is the message for today. So the question is, where did I come from? Only deep of our mind, we may have a hint, where did I come from? Why I'm here with this family, go through this situation. Well, you can see this in a two different ways, as an atonement or as a trial. I suggest you to see as a trial, as a test, right? A trial in the sense of test. This is going to make me more strong as we go back to the other side. Majority of people here wanted to stay here more 30 years. Great. I'll be here with you guys. So this is what I have to bring to you today. So I will stop here and to see if we have any comment or question. Again, this is very personal, and we don't have exactly the answer for those questions. We need to search for that, and we can find the answer as we deal with one another. Right? Leo, back to you, man.
Thank you, Daniel, for this beautiful explanation. We do have a couple questions online. If you want to bring the, we can put on there. We'll start with Paula.
No, go ahead and ask. Because
you just wanted me to ask?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can read over
and
there.
then we ask everyone to formulate your questions or comments here. Paula asks, helpful talk. Don't our strong affinities provide clues about our past lives? I love to hear nuns chanting, hence a past life in a convent.
Yes, the short answer, yes. Our strong affinity will tell us what type of life we have had in the past, right? A great example that I always strikes me is like when I see like kids, young human beings with a tremendous skills of playing an instrument, or those super, intelligent kids that go way above the average, the gifted kids. So this tells us that this particular skill has been mastered many previous lifetime. If we deny that, we need to deny that God is just, that God is good. Because why the privilege is only upon some people and other, myself, for example, yourself, right? But Paula, I miss you here in person, but thank you so much for joining and asking your question. I agree with you, yes. I think the strong bonds that we display toward the community, toward one another, family members, has to do with this experience we have had with those people in previous life or that group. Thank you.
Anyone have a question, comment here? Alba, and then I'll
Easy questions. Very easy. I'm
Don't worry,
joking.
Danielito. Thank you so very much. Very enlightening. And I think that these questions are questions that we as a humanity, we have asked ourselves, right? Those are the first questions of philosophy, actually. But I'm a little bit confused, maybe because of the Spanish language, which is my first language, about the word personality. Because in my understanding, personality is me, myself, my true self, my spirit. So I will have the same personality in different reincarnations, and I will enrich my personality. So when you say that we have different personalities, I got kind of confused. So if you can clarify that for me.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not a psychologist, so I think those that are in the field of psychology and have been studies more deep on this thing of personality. So when I talk about personality, is the style of life that person had in previous life. For example, when I gave the example, in previous life, the person was a violent person, so they have that because I understand, like, when we say your true self, your true colors, like inside of you, or you can also, there is another definition of the persona, right? As psychologists mention the persona, I can present a personality that I'm not yet, but I can present this, right? But the true one is the one that who reside inside of you, that only with people that lives with you, you're gonna identify that. So when I mention about personality, is the behavior aspect that we have when we face certain things, right? Because I mean, like, we can have a general personality, for example, in the sense of, in this life, I have more tendency to behave certain way that the group of men behaves because I'm now in a male body, right? But there are people that's in a male body that even with all the hormone, all the physiology, is because we wins over this physiology, display a different way to behave, right? So we are just like observing fact. This is a fact, right? But at the end of the day, the way we present ourselves is a responsibility that we have before who? Our conscience. So when I say about personality, you can read the way that you just said, but also you can read as a general way to behave. Like when I gave the example of a violent person, or a very tender person, or someone that's very forgiveness, very, forgiving, yes. So in that way, so bring this to skill, I guess it's easy because skill is like something that you master that skill. You play a piano for 10 lifetimes before. So in this lifetime, when you see a piano, it's like second nature, right? So you master a skill, right? So when we mention about personality, we are discussing about moral behave. Skill is more like skill, like, when you see an athlete, right, doing something that is above the average, is that because probably past life he has practiced that. Well, here is something that is very important to remind ourselves, is that this is for good and for bad, right? That's the sad part, because there is people that even you can do whatever you want in this lifetime, the person will end up to repeating the same thing he has, or she or he or it has done in the 10th previous reincarnation. It's a beautiful case, not beautiful, but to illustrate, there is a case that was told by Chico Xavier about that person that has committed suicide in the past, in the last 10 incarnation before. So in this reincarnation, that particular incarnation, the person was already think about to commit suicide again. And so, and I'm not gonna tell the story, but in Chico, when the person went to talk to Chico and said, oh, this person has to go and do the surgery to remove the limbs, right? The person didn't have an arm anymore. And then the spirit, Chico told, wow, this is a blessing from God, because the person is already thinking to jump from a bridge. So without the limbs, without the legs, it's going to become more difficult. And so this is the kind of intervention that happens from the spiritual plane, from God's law. But I don't know if I answer your question. Okay, thank you.
One comment before we go to Kirsten that Paula brought to us. Go back there. Go back to the comment. Is that she uses an example of a judicious use of time when older. A 9-some-year-old woman described in a talk at Edgar Cayce Center was learning to play the piano to have it in her next life.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and I've seen the situation like this for people in Brazil, people that decide to go back to the university in her 70s, 80s, because this type of person already have in their mind that life doesn't end with the death of a physical body. So that's beautiful. You know, it's never too late to make an investment in yourself, because definitely whatever you learn in this life, you may bring to the next lifetime, right?
And she actually says, in 30 years, I'll wave from the other side. I'm Pastor
I
Kirsten
like
now.
that. Thank you, Paula, for participating. So it means, Paula, that you're not count 30 years, probably less than that, right? Because Kirsten, please.
So I was thinking about this thought and asking myself, who am I versus who I could be, would be, or should be? So isn't our language so limiting, because we say, who am I in this moment? But that can also, as important as it is to know who am I, but at the same time, it can be very limiting, because what if who I am is not who I want to always be, but is simply who I am in this season of my life as I, struggle or work towards being a better version of myself. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I definitely got it. It's a very simple question that demands a very simple answer. Okay, so here's my thing. When we get lost in translation, when things become too complex, and kissing, with all the respect, I'm not saying that. I think it would be like an audácia, como é que se diz audácia? Audacity from our part, audacious for our part, to know all these answers right now in the level that we are, because we have so many things that we need to learn that we are not there yet. It's like Daniel wanted really to go to the moon, but I have to spend 10 or 15 years in NASA or doing training to go to the moon, right? An example. Nowadays, it's not necessary. You just need to have money, and then you can pay a trip to the space, right? But I think there is a very strong and simple answer we can ask when we are in this conflict mode. I'm not saying that this is conflict, but it's good for us to ask those questions, to meditate. But we need to to be careful not to lose too much time on those ideas, like, because sometimes, as we have discussed, like, if we are trying to be someone or a personality that we are not capable to display yet, we suffer. So for me, as a suggestion, and this is the thing that I try to apply when I'm going to a very difficult time of my life, is that first and foremost, we are child of God. And we are what? Intelligent being of the creation, which means that we have all the capability inside of us that was given by the Creator to face that situation. And as we face the situation, we are learning our potentiality. So I don't know if I answer your question, because I know that, sometimes you want to, it's very difficult, it's very personal, and for me, the easy way is like, the life is hard, I'm a child of God, and I have a brother called Jesus. What do you want more? Right? So it's like, it's so easy to say, right? But if you, I think what you want is really like find out who you are truly inside of you, so we can make better decision, or you can understand why you make those type of decision, right? That's the question. Back to you.
Yeah, I think I think the point is that recognizing that who we are, it's transitory, right? We're in this process of change, constant change. And also for me, studying Spiritism and Joanna DeAngelis, it's a great source of comfort, because truly, as you begin to face your shadow self, all that lies within the subconscious or unconscious mind, and you face your fears of what you are, who you are, or your tendencies, it's a nice reminder to say, this is where I'm meeting myself, but this is not where I always will be. There's
Perfect.
great things to come.
Love that. Yes. Yeah, love that, Kirsten. Yeah. You see, you answer your own question better, better than, better than myself.
Just a quick comment, Kirsten, that you made me reflect about it, that of the concept of, let us put it, I am. The I am it is in constant change and evolution, because we are not static. We don't get stagnated. We are always moving, and we are moving ahead. So the I am of today, October 5th, 2014, at this time,
24.
oh God, 2024 is this person, this Albita,
Yes.
this Kirsten. But if we ask ourselves the same question 5 years from now, the answer will be different.
Yes, that's true.
Oh, that's nice, right?
That's deep. Yes. Deep, very deep. Yes. Okay, I guess we approach for the last couple questions. Okay, go ahead, Agnes.
And I guess just to add a little more comment on this last question, I feel like it would be the first step as we ask these questions, like who am I, who are we? I think the first part, then the acceptance, like Krista mentioned, like as we start facing the shadows, but I think the first step is ask the question with curiosity about ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Because we question a lot the outside, right? Like, what is this all about? What is this world? Why we are here? But this, like turning inwards and asking these questions about ourselves, I think is the first step, because then it is the recognizing where we needed to work on, right? The moral evolution, and accepting that we are evolving and we have the opportunity to do so.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. All the above.
Yeah, just adding, something that came to my mind is that there are no sadness that never goes away, and there is no happiness that never goes away too.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient.
Stay
We have
forever.
to be patient. We have to acknowledge that it's not only Gione that is going through something, but Albita and Aloysio and you name it, right?
We are in the
Every
same
day a
pool.
different fight. Every
Yeah.
day a different lesson to learn, and to sometimes we say, my gosh, look at this. But of course, when we are in the eye of the hurricane, we think that's never going to end.
Endless, right?
Yeah, but then with a little bit of humbleness and patience, we end up finding a solution, and all of a sudden something good comes or something bad happens. But then a good thing comes, and life is like this. So,
Yeah.
so as you all were talking, these things came to my
Everything
mind. Yeah.
shall pass,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it will pass, and
But
you are going to get
God
into
never
something
passes.
else,
Yes.
every day is going to be, I think, endless. Even
Endless.
if you go to another life, now you are, I don't know. And when you said about the personalities and everything, I said, it's incredible. Like sometimes you don't expect a person that is very weak in your point of view, having a very strong attitude to solve a problem, and the opposite, that you don't know,
happens.
like some people are going through a situation and you never imagine that person was so fragile, and that's life. So as
That's
the personalities that sometimes say, oh my God, how did I say that to that person? It was not me. It was not
Yeah,
me. Where did
that's
that come
great.
from? I don't know. But you went there and you solved the problem. Sometimes you didn't go out of yourself. You didn't offend anybody. You just said a simple thing, a very a little thought, and everybody said, you know what? I didn't have, I didn't never thought about that. It's true, as you say, it's simple. Sometimes it's simple,
Simple.
but I think when we are involved in the whole thing, it's a big deal for us. So that's why I think the way I understood
No, thank you
Kirsten's
so much.
question,
Yeah. No, that's I think everything that you guys said you know, as I said, all the above, you know, because it's our experience, and whatever personal experience we have, that's the truth for us. Not necessarily everybody's gonna agree, right, or
Yeah.
see the same way, but it's the beauty of this thing is that we grow together, right? So we grow in community. But we still have our own homework to do.
Yeah,
There is a
nobody-
point. There is a point
Yeah.
that is between you and God, you and your conscience, you and the divine laws.
Yeah.
It's not about the partner, the family. You know, it's about you. It's about
Yeah,
us.
no-
Guys,
no-
I guess we reached the time.
Yeah.
So let us move on to our passes. I will do a very short, for those that are online, so thank you so much. Let me put the last slide here. And we're gonna move on to a, and we can go offline now. To a short visualization, then we're gonna offer the passes that, you know, someone is gonna call you here in front. We're gonna put a music, and let's